In the classical textbook, you have likely been told that the LIBOR fixing is determined as the rate that solves the following problem. At the end of the period we're looking at, you would receive 1 and you receive the coverage times the LIBOR rate that we want to determine at the beginning in exchange for paying out 1 unit. So you borrow or lend in the beginning and return the money towards the end. So what is the value of this future payment? Well, all payments are known. The 1, you could think of that as the notional, the coverage, as we looked at here, and the LIBOR being fixed at the beginning of the period. So the end of the period is just, say, 6 months into the future. So what is the value of this guy over here? Well, since it's a known payment, we can just discount it back. So we could look at the discount factor corresponding to the length of the period times the payment, delta times the current LIBOR fixing, and the notion. On the other side we have a -1. So which LIBOR rate would solve the following problem? The discounted value, let's write it the other way, 1 plus delta times the LIBOR equals 1. Well, we could try to solve that. We could say the discounted value of the LIBOR payment should equal 1 minus the discount factor. Now we have the discount factor on both sides and also the delta, so the LIBOR rate should be something like 1 divided by the discount factor minus 1, because it cancels out with this one, divided by the length of the period. So that's the classical textbook example. And that will also lead you to the conclusion that the forward LIBOR rate today for a future period starting at capital T, ending at capital T plus delta, has a strong relationship to the ratio of the zero coupon bond prices at the start of the period to the end of the period, -1 relative to the length of the period. So that's the classical textbook result, both for the fixing and for the forward LIBOR rate. And we'll come back to why we need to be a little bit more careful these days in understanding the link between discounting, fixings, forward rates altogether. Another key observation from the classical setup allows you to realize that what we expressed as the current value of receiving a LIBOR payment in the future, so the discounted value corresponding to the payment date of the current forward LIBOR rate for that period. So we are talking about today, future date, and the end of a LIBOR period. So the forward rate spans this period, but we look at it from today. We get the payment at the end of the period. If you do a little bit of arithmetic on the definition of the forward LIBOR rate, you realize that in the classical setup, this can boil down to just a difference of 2 zero coupon bond prices or discount rates. So as I hinted at early on, if you're really careful about how you express discounting and forwards, this expression is still true, but it's only in the classical setup that this equation holds if this is your discounting rate. In the modern setup, you need to be a little more careful. But from the classical setup, this gives us a way of thinking of the value of individual LIBOR payments. We can think of it as receiving in the beginning and paying in the end of every single period.